Hey everyone, this is Logan Williams with 11th Peak Digital. Wanted to show you a walkthrough of our new Ngram analysis tool. This is pretty exciting. It allows you to analyze Google Search Console data, Google Ads data. You can compare copy between two sites. You can go and fetch URL and get back the HTML and look if phrases are being linked or not linked. So there's a ton of use cases, and I'm going to walk through kind of all the different things you can do. So the first thing up top, you can see we have a few different modes. So paste copy, straightforward, go to whatever page or whatever text you have, just paste it in here. If you do paste in raw HTML, you're gonna have a little bit more features and information. So you're gonna get data back on whether or not the phrase is in a link, whether or not it's alternate text, a title, heading, so forth. Then you have compare to, same as the first one, except now you can paste two copies. So it's going to look at content A versus content B. So maybe you're working on content or you have different versions of something and you want to see how they are different or comparing against a competitor. From a URL, you're going to put in either one URL if you just want to look at one. And if you want to compare, you put two in. It's going to go fetch both those pages. It's going to bring back the copy. Just note, if the site relies on JavaScript rendering, we currently don't have Playwright set up through this, so it is not able to render JavaScript. So it's just looking at source code. So that's something to note, and there should be an error that pops up that will let you know that, and you just have to go and copy and paste over here to be able to use that if you run into that issue. Google Search Console, this basically allows you to take your queries report. So you're going to go into Search Console, you're going to go to Performance and Search Results, you're going to pick whatever date range and any other filters you want. Then you're going to export that CSV, and you can just upload it here. And then finally, we have Google Ads. For this, you're going to go into whatever campaign or account you want to export your search terms, and then you'll set your date range and export the search terms. If you have more than one campaign you want to analyze at once, you can export all of them together. It does look at the campaign level, and you're able to filter and look at things through that. So just for you to note, or you can just do one campaign at a time. It's really up to you. And finally, over here, we have our n-gram sizes. So of course, n-grams are the amount of words in a phrase. So one would mean one word, two words, and so forth. So the default's 2 to 3, but you can set it to whatever you want. I find 2 to 4 to be really the best range. But if you move to 1, you actually can pick the minimum length, which I think that makes it a little bit more helpful. That way you can maybe switch to 1, and then only phrases that have 8, 10, larger characters, so a very long, maybe even hyphenated word, can be included. All right, so let's look at this with some data. I'm going to come into the paste copy. I'm just going to do some plain text here. I'm going to hit analyze. That's going to drop down. You're going to see your source text, but if you keep scrolling past that, you're going to see a grid view to start with some other options at top. So first, it's taking whatever I set here. So I have 2 to 3, and it's filtering by the n-gram, so we can see 2, and then these are 3 here. If you select any of these, you get just what that is. So if you only want to look at 3, or you only want to look at 2, you just can click there. But it's going to filter right now by total, so the number of times it occurred on the page. So in this case, hiking boots, that phrase occurred 7 times in the body text. The density means the percentage of that phrase occurring. So 7 times out of however many phrases there are on the page and how many times it occurs, that percentage. So 2.35% of the page is this term. Easy way to kind of visualize that, we have a word cloud. It makes the word larger depending on its prominence. So you see hiking boots here, and then trekking poles, and then so forth. It keeps drops off. You can look at that by total, or you can look at that by density. You also have a tree map view, so you can kind of see it this way, and when you hover over, you'll see the different counts. A bar graph, again, so you can kind of look at it that way. And then themes we'll get to in a second. I want to point out you have the option to export. So at any time you can export, and you can grab the phrases from either the bar view or the tree map view, or if you go back to the grid, you can get this grid view, and you can pick if you want all rows, limit to a number of rows, what columns you want. And with columns too, you can update them here. So you can do that all with there. And then the other option is you have the quick filter. It's using regular expressions, and it's just going to look at what terms would return something. So it's never going to return nothing. So if there's something in here, it's going to always return something, and it will just break it down. So our quick filter here, informational checklist is a word that's flagged for it. You can see the regular expression here, what it's pulling, and so it has that as an option there. All right. So if you click on a word, it will bring you to that spot in the source text. So you can see backpacking checklist, where it occurs in the actual phrase. If we get rid of this here, again, do hiking boots, you can see every spot it shows up. If you do provide HTML, again, there would be links and a few other things, but in this case, we don't have that. You can reorder anything just by clicking. So if I click on this, it will just sort now ascending, again, descending, or if I want to click over here, it will filter by this one, ascending, descending. So it's quick if you want to move anything there. Then that goes into our compare to. So again, you would have two pieces of copy you want to compare. You're going to hit analyze. It's going to show you how many phrases overlap. So 7% of the phrases overlap. So there's 34 phrases that are only in A, there's 45 in B, and then there's 6 shared between them. It's going to show you the words that are shared between them, or the phrases, I should say. So you can see like rocky descents is in both of these, but in copy B, it's mentioned one more time and has 0.29% more density. Likewise, over here, wet rock is mentioned one more time in A with a 0.26% density increase for that. You can then go again to only in A, which is similar to the view we looked at before, and only in B, all the same options. You can export just A or B, if that makes sense, or just the shared phrases, or everything. Again, if you do word cloud, then you're going to get side by side, so you can see what those look like side by side. Same thing here, same thing here. Gap is going to show you that visualization of the differences, so you can see the trail conditions. B has it mentioned 2 times more, or sorry, 2 times less, and then here A has it mentioned 1 time less, and so forth. So you can see who's winning where. All right, and if we go up to URLs, we have the option to either enter one URL and it will just look at one site, or if we add 2, it's going to compare them against each other. In this case, I'm looking at merino wool socks, running socks in particular. So I have smart wool versus darn tough. I have it set 2 to 4 n-grams, so I'm going to hit analyze. It's going to go fetch both pages, and then it's going to return their HTML. And it defaults to the view we just were in Gap, so let's go back over to Grid. And we can see the overlap between the two. So 4% of the phrases overlap. There's 4 shared phrases, 36 only in smart wool, and 60 in darn tough. Then if we come down to our grid, we're going to see the shared phrases first. So we see merino wool, and we can see that darn tough mentions merino wool 3 times more, so 6 versus 3, and a density of 0.24% higher. On the other side, run socks, smart wool mentions 1 more time than darn tough, and it has an advantage for its density there. We come down, we have the ability to add in our own regular expressions, or in our quick filter, you can pick whatever you would like. So we can do navigational, or again, switch back to whatever you'd like. And then from here, I'm just going to clear this out. You can look over and see one of the cool columns is where. And so the where column shows throughout the document, each of those dots represents the beginning, middle, and end, where the phrase is located. So in this case, the most is mentioned in the beginning and the end. So in all how this works is it just looks at the overall body copy, the number of words, and kind of places each word, and then looks at where it's located, whether it's in the first third, second third, or the last final third. And so you can see where it's located, if it's the beginning or the end, or if it's located throughout. So if we come down here, you can see this is located throughout. So you can quickly look at that. And if you want to look at links, if you come over here, you can go just to link. And now we'll see the phrases that are linked. So shop men's, this is linked 2 times. It's featured twice and linked twice. And then the target URL, it shows you where that's going. Likewise, if you want to look at anything that's never been linked, which means that every time it occurs, so 3 times, and it's not linked once. Versus any of them, you'll notice some of those have a mixture of basically being linked or unlinked. So they might be linked once, show up 3 times and linked once. You have the option to export either the shared results, only Smartwool, only Darn Tough, or you can come up and export the whole thing. If you go to word cloud, you can quickly compare the two. So you can see merino wool versus socks for running. Tree map, the same thing. We have the side-by-side. Bars, you have the side-by-side. And then gap shows whatever URL you put up top. So in our case, Smartwool versus Darn Tough, what the difference is. So in this case, it's mentioned merino wool 3 times, or three instances less. It's 3 times versus 6 that it's mentioned. Then Darn Tough, and likewise here it mentioned 1 more time run socks, so you can see it has the advantage there. You can clear all the results, and you can move anytime you want to reanalyze. You have to hit analyze up here and move your slider. So if you want to like pick a different thing to run. The next tab we have is upload your Google Search Console queries. So this, you're going to go to the performance search results in Google Search Console. You're going to select your time frame, any filters or things you want to apply, and then you're going to export those search terms and take that CSV, and you're just going to upload it right here. So I'm just going to grab in here. All right. So the next tab is the Google Search Console queries. So I'm going to click here. And for this tab, you're going to go to Google Search Console. You're going to go to your performance and search results, and you're going to export your search terms based on whatever time frame and any other filters you want. That's going to give you a CSV file. You just come over to choose file. You're going to pick in your computer wherever that is. So in this case, I'm just going to grab some demo data, and you'll pull in right here. You'll pick what you want for your n-grams and hit analyze. And now it's going to give you the queries showing you by the n-grams. So hiking boots here, how many impressions, clicks, it's rolling everything up together. So if like hiking boots for men and hiking boots for women, it's going to combine those together. So the queries for each, so if there's 12 in one and 14 in another, that's why there's 26. Same thing with impressions and all other statistics here. They're just being rolled in or averaged together. With this, you do have, again, the option for looking at things by commercial, informational, and other things there. But the new one is that you can go top 3, top 5, top 10. So you can go by basically your ranking. And again, you have the option to filter and decide what to show or not show in your columns. And say there was terms you liked or you wanted to look more into, you can select them. And then you can either copy a regular expression that would select both of them, or you can just copy the phrases. So you would have those to paste wherever it makes sense. Word cloud, the same as all the others have been. These are all really the same. The only new one here is there's an opportunities tab. The opportunities tab looks at your content and kind of where the average performance is, which is represented here. And so what's performing above your average and what's below, and showing basically where you can improve. So things that are already doing well, it has a great quick click-through rate, and it's being in a lot of impressions. So you want to keep that one versus things that have a very low click-through rate, or they're not being clicked at all. You might want to rewrite the meta titles, and just overall kind of a gauge of where your content's at. So you can just hover over the points and you can kind of see how things are performing in that spot. Last tab is our Google Ads. You're going to go to Google Ads and you're going to get your search terms. You can do multiple campaigns or you can do one campaign. If you do multiple, it does give you the ability to filter by campaign. And if you only do one, there's no problem. That works just as well. When you hit analyze, again, it's showing this view because that's what we were just in. But if I go to grid, you're going to see your wasted spend overview. So 22% of the terms had 0 conversions. It'll show you how much you spent. So 398 was spent on those terms versus 1,400 on the terms that actually got conversions. And this gives you the ability to kind of look at things, at a more seed keyword level, or like a very small, even 1 n-gram, to see if there's any themes or things you could use to negative keywords. So for instance, if you didn't want to go for hiking boots, then it would be good to add, a phrase match of hiking boots, so that you don't have to add, and you won't show for hiking boots for men, hiking boots for women, hiking boots for kids. So this is just a way for you to quickly see that. And so let's just say in this case, we don't want hiking socks or hiking boots. If we click those, it then gives us the option. We can pick, phrase match if we would like. And then when we copy the phrases, they're ready for you to paste right into your negative keyword list. So just a quick way for you to be able to select and add things and manage your keyword list there. And then with themes, it goes down to the 1 n-gram level. So then you can kind of just see across, your campaign. Hiking makes sense because this site is all about hiking. Running, boots, okay, that makes sense. You can see if there's any terms or themes or ideas totally out of line. So maybe if tent wasn't, like you're like, we're about hiking, but we don't do tents, we do backpacks or whatever, then you can start to see these themes or topics that you are adjacent to your industry, but something that you need to, filter against, or make your copy a little tighter to not show up for those terms. And yeah, with all these, you can export, like I said, you can run across them. And any questions you have, just leave a comment below and let us know. We're working on making this more robust, and we're adding things constantly. So this is a living document, and we hope to see you guys test it out.